Well, hello, fellow carnivores. It's Johnny, the champion within. Welcome you back to today's video. I took a couple of days off because I've been burning the candle at both ends lately, working basically 12-hour shifts at work. I worked Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I was off Sunday, but Sunday's the day I walked over 10 miles. And then I worked Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, 12 hours. So I've worked 72 hours and walked 10 miles in the last 7 days. So I took that much needed break those last 2 days. But today I'm back and I'm ready to get at it. Tried something a little bit different. Sunday, after my 10-mile walk, my wife and I went to Costco and I bought a big thing of pork belly, which you'll see in a few minutes. Thought I'd try making my own bacon. That way I can get away from some of the salt curing of the bacon. I'll say this again in the video, but I know we're not supposed to fear sodium. Sodium, you got to have so much of it. Your body cannot function without sodium. I get that. But I'm still struggling with my blood pressure. I've noticed that when I eat store-bought bacon on the weekend, my blood pressure seems to creep back up. If I go 4 or 5 days without eating bacon, blood pressure tends to trend down a little bit. So I thought I'd try to make my own bacon and get away from all the salt curing and the sugar curing that comes in some of the bacon. I'm careful when I buy bacon not to get the sugar cured stuff. I really read the ingredients to find something that doesn't have any sugar or dextrose in the curing process. But still, it's loaded with sodium. And I tend to eat 7, 8, 9 strips of bacon at a time, which gives me, several grams of sodium. I don't salt my food ever. I never really have. I'm more a fan of pepper than salt, but got to get my blood pressure down. So in today's video, we're going to take this pork belly, see what we can do to cut it up, slice it up, and how we can prepare it. It starts out kind of a disaster, but I think towards the end, you'll see that it turned out pretty good. I was pretty disgusted thinking I'd wasted, a bunch of money on this pork belly. But you'll see towards the end that we're able to salvage a pretty good option there. Anyway, let's get on with today's video. Oh, and yes, I did get in a fist fight with a hair clipper, and as you can see, I lost. Anyway, here's today's video. All right, so there we have it. My first ever pork belly purchase. You can see I got it from Costco. $24 basically for 4.5 pounds. I watched a couple of videos on how to prepare pork belly. Just trying to get away from some of the processing and the sugars that is in most cured bacon. So trying to make my own. I have no idea what I'm going to do with this. But I've got my knife there and I've been sharpening it, and that's probably the sharpest knife I've ever had. So hopefully we can get through this without losing a finger or a thumb. All right, let's get started. All right, so I guess we'll start by, they were kind of two together, so I separated them. See if I can slice it kind of thin. Be careful, Johnny, this knife is very sharp. As you can see, my culinary skills leave a lot to be desired. All right, one piece of pork belly right there, one piece of bacon. All right, I'll finish slicing this up and we'll be back. Well, that's not going very well. I've got some of it done, but it's kind of thick still. Maybe my knife's not as sharp as I thought it was. So we've enlisted the air fryer. I'm going to cut it in chunks, some of it, put it in my air fryer and see how that comes out. We'll give that a try. If you guys have any ideas on how to do pork belly so you don't have all the processed bacon, leave them in the comments because I could sure use some help. All right, so my air fryer's good and warmed up. Turn that back there. There's my, we're going to throw some of these little nuggets I cut up in here. Just going to give this a try. We'll see what happens. It's only $30 worth of pork. Too hot. And now we shall see. So what I ended up doing was cutting the strips in half. So cut them in half, right in the middle pretty much. And then taking the half, I don't know if you can see that, and then splitting it in half. It makes it a little easier to handle. I can make a couple passes if I need to. And that gives me these smaller strips, you know, 1/4 inch thick, 3/8 of an inch thick, maybe even 1/2 inch thick. Anyway, that'll be used for bacon. So this has been a learning experience, and I've learned that I have no idea what the hell I'm doing in the kitchen. Might just be regular bacon from this point forward, but we'll see. Hope springs eternal. This will turn out okay. I've got some of this in the oven. I put some of these longer ones in the oven at 375. Of course, I still got some going in the air fryer, my little nuggets, and we'll see. Stay tuned. So there we go. One of these little pork belly nuggets that I did in the air fryer. They shrank up a lot, because they were almost completely fat. But let's see if this worked out okay. This is my first time ever having this pork belly, which I guess is just bacon. Wow. That's really good. Could probably use a little salt. I didn't put anything on it. That's really good. Hopefully, I have some in the oven, the strips in the oven. I'm getting ready to take those out, turn them over, put them back in. I got them on 375. I don't know if that's hot enough or not, but it's all an experiment. But these nuggets are good. That's easy. So there's the ones I have in the oven. Get ready to flip them over, and we'll put them back in for a little while, but I need taller sides on my pan because the bacon grease is filling up the pan. That's a good problem to have. So now the bacon is done from the oven, and it looks really good. I cooked it for about 30 minutes on I turned it up to 390. So I'm really excited about that. I took the bacon grease, the renderings, poured it in my frying pan, and I'm getting ready to scramble my eggs in that bacon grease. Stand by, I'll get this finished, I'll get to the table, and we'll see how it goes. Well, fellow carnivores, I finally did it. I hope you enjoyed this disjointed video that was kind of all over the map. But remember, one of the reasons that I started the carnivore diet, one of my whys, is my extremely high blood pressure, trying to bring it back down. And as I've said, the blood pressure has kind of bounced all over from the 140s to the 170s here recently. One thing I've noticed is that when I eat bacon, especially a lot of it, my blood pressure tends to go back up for a few days afterwards. Now, I know we're not supposed to fear sodium or salt, but I have to go by the evidence. When I go 5 or 6 days without eating any store-bought bacon, my blood pressure seems to come down. I'll have bacon on Saturday and Sunday, and then on Monday my blood pressure's back up. Now, store-bought bacon is loaded with sodium. And I know we're not supposed to fear sodium, but until I get my blood pressure under control, I gotta kind of keep it in check. So, this is my, hopefully my solution. This is obviously what I've been working on in this whole video, the pork belly. This is what came out of the oven, 390 degrees for about 30 minutes. I flipped it over one time in the middle, and I've never had this before. There's no salt on this at all. So let's see how she does. That was really good. That's surprisingly good. Yeah, I thought this was going to be an unmitigated disaster, but that's pretty good. Still got some meat in there, if you can see that. Some of the fat there. Yeah, and it's not salty at all. I'm sure there's still some salt in there because pork is salty naturally. There's none of the added salt that would be put into it so that it has longer shelf life, like you'd see at the grocery store. I think we may be in business here, guys. May give me a chance to enjoy something other than the beef and water, but not have my blood pressure go up. We're going to try it. I'll take my blood pressure tomorrow and see how it does. Now for the eggs cooked in the renderings from the pork belly. Let's see how they are. Mm. That's perfect. No seasoning whatsoever. The flavor of the pork belly seasons the eggs, and of course the pork belly's got the flavor itself. I do have one element, or half an element in my water, so that's 500 milligrams of sodium and a little bit of flavor, because this is the watermelon one. But if I can cut my sodium back to half of what it was, and still get enough not to get muscle cramps or heart problems, and I can get my blood pressure down, I can go get my DOT medical card and get back to driving an 18-wheeler. And then I can afford whatever meat I want. Well, hope you guys enjoyed this video today. Sorry it was all over the map, but I gotta get my blood pressure under control, and this is one way that I can have some variety in my diet and maybe work on my blood pressure. I love you guys, and that wraps it up for today, so I'll see you tomorrow.